This video is sponsored by dbrand. dbrand's grip case for the iPhone 14 series is thin and grippy, features clicky buttons, a super precise fit, and is MagSafe compatible. Their tempered glass screen protector is like the Wagyu of glass and is perfect to protect your iPhone. If you want to learn more about dbrand, make sure to go to dbrand.com/heymarkel or click the first link down below. Hey, and welcome back to the channel, and what I have installed on my iPhone 14 Pro Max is the latest iOS 17 software that's currently in beta. And I just wanted to make a quick video on what's new and what to expect from iOS and iPadOS this fall, but also give you guys my take on iOS 17. So Apple this year announced a ton of stuff at WWDC, from the Apple Vision Pro headset to the Mac Pro, 15-inch MacBook Air, which, by the way, I'll be checking out very soon, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that video. And of course, all the new software updates from iOS, iPadOS, macOS, and watchOS. But in this video, let's check out what's new and what my favorite features are in iOS 17. So the first thing that stands out to me right away on the iPhone is what Apple's calling Standby. And basically, it's a way for your iPhone to display new information when it's charging via MagSafe and turn to its side. And basically, once you do that, it'll give you glanceable information designed to be viewed from a distance. So as an example, you'll be able to turn your iPhone into a bedside clock, or show a photo slide, or even widgets in a smart stack. I think it's super helpful, but only if you have a wireless charger that stands up and that can hold your phone sideways. Now, I'm not exactly sure if it works just for MagSafe chargers, so let me know in the comments down below if you tried it with your non-MagSafe charger. And next up on a list of new things with iOS 17 are interactive widgets. Now, this is one of the things that I've wanted since they introduced widgets to iOS. It's being able to use that home app right on the home screen and turn on or off a light, or even check off things off my to-do list. Now, you can also play or pause or skip a song or podcast if you have the widget on your home screen too, so that way you don't have to swipe down from the notification tray or lock screen to access your media controls, which, by the way, comes in very handy, especially if you don't have that dynamic island on the 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max. Now, jumping to the iPad real quick though, most of what's new in iOS also makes its way to iPadOS, but a bit different as well. Now, I am an iPad mini stan, so my experience might be a bit different from yours if you have a normal or bigger sized iPad, but with iOS 17, we finally now have the ability to customize the lock screen and add widgets just like what they introduced in iOS 16 for iPhone. I'm not exactly sure why it took them this long to add these features, but yeah, iPad finally gets the lock screen customization, which is really neat. It also now features live activity, so if you've got an Uber Eats order coming or you've got a timer set up, you'll see that right on the lock screen too. But probably my favorite part is that you also now have widgets on the lock screen just like on iPhones, and once you unlock your iPad on the home screen, you also have interactive widgets, which we just talked about, so that's really nice to have. Alright, so moving on to the more nitty-gritty features and ones that are more app-based, so let's start with the phone app and FaceTime. So one major change that Apple pushed out for iOS 17 is what they're calling Contact Poster, which is basically your contact info, but it's customizable and will translate to other iOS users running iOS 17. So I've got mine all set up, and when I give someone else a call, my photo with the effects and the font that I choose when designing my contact poster also shows up on their end, so long as they have my number saved and is running iOS 17. And speaking of saving contacts, Apple also introduced Name Drop, which is a super easy way to share your contact info to another person by simply hovering over another person's iPhone. And it's super neat and definitely makes it easier by trading contacts with the person that you just met. Besides that, Apple's also tweaking AirDrop to make it a little bit more easy to share photos or videos by doing the same gesture over another person's iPhone. And later in the year, you'll also be able to send files over AirDrop and just walk away, and it'll still transfer those files in full quality over the internet securely. Now with the phone app, the UI's changed a bit here, but now you can also receive a live voicemail with a live transcript of the message being said while recording that voicemail, which I like to call answering machine with text. So basically, if someone calls you and you send their call directly to voicemail, they'll be able to talk on their end, and you'll see a text transcript pop up on your phone of what they're saying, and you can then accept the call if you think it's urgent enough, or just let them leave the voicemail. One cool feature though is that if you have this silence unknown callers feature turned on in the settings, those calls will go directly to live voicemail without having your phone ring, which is actually really nice. Now, the Messages app did get a buff on this update with new features such as search filters, a new view to see all your iMessage apps, swiping to reply to messages, which is actually a feature that I've wanted for so long, and audio messages are now transcribed, so you can read them and listen to the audio later. There's also new stickers and new sticker effects that you can use, which are cool, but not something I personally use on a daily basis. But probably the coolest feature that I love that Apple added to iMessage is what they call check-in. Now, if you've ever gone out to dinner with friends or loved ones and say, hey, text me when you get home, well, this basically makes it super simple to let you know that they've made it home safely. Check-in basically alerts your friend or family members to let them know that you made it home or vice versa. And if, for example, you've been stuck somewhere or haven't moved for a while, it'll also check in with you and you can either respond to add time, or if you don't respond at all, it can share helpful information with them like your location, your battery level, and self-service status. And then there's the upcoming Journal app, which unfortunately is unavailable for this first beta, but basically Apple made their own journaling app, and it's a way for you to jot down your thoughts, and everything that you write in that journal is secured, stored on your phone with end-to-end encryption, so no one can snoop around, even Apple. And then some small little updates to iOS in general. I did notice that the overall animations did feel a little bit smoother, and they also now animate differently than iOS 16 in some areas. And here's a comparison between my iPhone 14 Pro Max on iOS 17 and iPhone 13 Pro running iOS 16. Besides that, the keyboard's going to be a lot better when it comes to predictive typing and autocorrect, and will now also help predict what you're going to type next with prediction inline as you type, which is something I've actually been using a ton when I'm drafting up an email using Gmail. Now with Safari, you can now create a profile so that your history, your extensions, and your tab groups are separated in one profile, not just for one account. And also private browsing, you can now also lock it down with Face ID, which is awesome. For Apple Maps, you can now download specific areas and still have access to turn-by-turn nav, but also have access to places nearby while offline. Another thing that they added here with iOS 17 is that AirTags, which I use a ton for travel, can now be shared with up to 5 other people, allowing those contacts to keep track of that item. And lastly, Siri can now be activated by just saying its name, dropping the hey in the beginning. And that's pretty much it for the major stuff that's changed in iOS 17 and iPadOS 17. There's a lot more that can be covered in depth, and maybe if you all are interested in that, when iOS 17 and iPadOS 17 comes out this fall, we'll be able to take a deeper dive into the final software, but so far so good. I'm about a few days in on this beta, and surprisingly enough, there hasn't been any app crashes or weird bugs on all the apps that I use on a daily basis, which is really good. Now again, if you don't want to miss out on my 15-inch MacBook Air review, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thank you all so much for watching, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.